A first grade classroom at Richneck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia, and multiple warnings about a child 6 years old with a gun. A school administrator who didn't act until a teacher was shot. Now, Ebony Parker faces 8 felony child neglect charges. This is Christopher Winchell with CrimesDigest. Crime news cross-examined in the court of public opinion. Let's jump in. I'm former criminal defense attorney Christopher Winchell, and this is Crime News Cross-Examined. If you follow real criminal cases through a lawyer's lens, go ahead and subscribe and like. It helps bring you even more legal coverage. Now, let's jump right into the story. Early that morning, the victim, teacher Abby Zwerner, reports to the assistant principal, Ebony Parker, a first grader who is angry and wants to fight another child. The angry child remains in class, and Parker doesn't act. Soon, the worry deepens. A classmate then reports that the boy might have a gun in his backpack. Parker is again notified, but takes no action. Instead, a reading specialist searches the boy's backpack, but finds nothing inside. Warnings keep coming. The concern shifts from backpack to the boy's pockets. Multiple staff members pass that emergency news to Assistant Principal Parker, asking to remove the boy from class and search him. Shockingly, Parker allegedly refuses, reportedly saying the boy's pockets were too small to hold a gun. Instead, she takes a wait-and-see approach. Now, if you find this breakdown useful, a quick like helps more viewers find fact-based crime coverage. Moments later, the child leaves the room, returns, and fires once at teacher Abby Zwerner. She's hit through the hand and the chest. However, despite the chaos, she's still able to get her students out to safety. After that, the police quickly arrest the boy and find out that the 9mm gun came from his mom's purse. His mother, Deja Taylor, later pleaded guilty and is serving multiple years in prison for child neglect and firearm charges. Now, just recently, a civil jury already found Parker grossly negligent, awarding teacher Zwerner $10 million in damages. Now, to the prosecution's case. The prosecutors argue Parker ignored 3 clear opportunities to intervene: the fight threat, the backpack warning, and the pocket warning. They'll put on testimony of staff and introduce emails to prove that Parker understood the danger. Their case: once multiple credible reports reach a school leader about a gun in a school, inaction becomes reckless disregard for human life. Each count reflects a child placed in jeopardy because no search was ordered. Now to the defense case. Parker's attorneys frame it as a tragedy, not a crime. They'll stress that no one actually saw a gun, only rumors from first graders. They'll argue that Parker made a reasonable call under the pressure, never imagining that a 6-year-old could carry or let alone fire a firearm at school. In fact, if teachers and assistants really believed the boy had a gun themselves, would they have waited for the assistant principal to act? They didn't even believe it. Additionally, they'll point out that the true fault in this case lies with the parent, Deja Taylor, who left the weapon accessible in her purse. To them, this is administrative failure, already punished in civil court, not a felony. Now let's turn to the cross-examination. Claim: Parker didn't know the student had a gun. Warnings were vague. The cross-examination. Staff said gun multiple times and begged for a search. That's not vague, that's specific. Claim: no one could foresee a 6-year-old firing a weapon. Cross-examination. Foreseeability turns on credible risk, not age. 3 warnings make harm foreseeable, especially when the word gun is uttered in school. I would argue that it is foreseeable at any age, even back to preschool or before. And within the current climate, a school shooting is not foreseeable. In fact, they happen all too frequently in the U.S. Claim: criminal charges go too far. Parker was busy handling other matters and never touched the gun. The cross-examination. It's pretty simple. Virginia law punishes omissions that danger life. Doing nothing after clear alerts fits that test. Claim: prosecution will chill educators. The cross-examination. The goal isn't fear, it's accountability and action when safety warnings are ignored. Any parent should rightfully expect when the word gun comes up at school, with even the possibility of a gun being at school, you must act immediately to eliminate the threat. Now, let's turn to the law. Under Virginia Code Section 18.2, 371.1a, felony child neglect occurs when a responsible adult willfully fails to act in a way showing reckless disregard for human life. Each charge in this case represents a separate danger. A conviction for Parker would mean up to 5 years per count in the Virginia State Prison. Though, sentences often merge when we have one victim and more or less the same event. Now, let's turn to my ruling. From the outset, yes, Ebony Parker is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. However, in my judgment, in a court of public opinion, she will most likely be found guilty. The timeline shows escalating warnings and deliberate inaction. Parker willfully decided not to act. If you are an administrator in a position of authority and you hear that a child may have a gun, you don't sit at your desk. You run to protect the students at any cost. Look at what the teacher did, Abby Zwerner. She was shocked. She immediately turned to protecting her students, despite the injuries. What we do know, Parker refused to authorize a search of the backpack or the pockets. Instead, what should have happened, you immediately inform security, you lock down the school, determine if the threat is real. In these sort of situations, the standard is immediate action, in my opinion. And Parker was indifferent to that standard. Now, civil negligence and that $10 million verdict, that covers grossly poor judgment. But that's separate. That's a civil case. Here, as we know, felony neglect requires indifference to human life and a much higher standard of proof beyond a reasonable. Now, yes, a single uncertain witness or any doubt about what Parker actually heard could keep this from becoming a criminal precedent. And beyond a reasonable doubt, yes, it is a very high standard to meet. However, with the backdrop of a civil trial where witnesses have already testified, I doubt that this second act criminal trial will play out much different. On a final note, why does this case even matter? The trial could actually redefine where professional error ends and criminal liability begins. If Parker is convicted, it would mark the first time a school administrator faces prison for failing to prevent a school shooting. Every district will be watching to see how far duty to act really extends. This has been former criminal defense attorney Christopher Winchell, and that's today's case, Cross-Examined. Tap subscribe for my next verdict and like the video. It really helps me bring additional content to you. Thanks for watching, and always remember, the truth matters, so does reasonable doubt. Take care.